Hotep, Black Power, giving honor to the Creator, giving honor to the ancestors. As always, giving honor to my sister, Chief of Staff, Brother Harris Abdul of the Street Law Soldiers, my father, my in-laws, and for all of our ancestors who are in the ancestral realm, fighting for our liberation and salvation of the black nation, as well as those of us who are here on this plane, fighting for the same liberation and salvation of our black nation. Today, like I said, I'm just going to freelance. We're going to have a discussion and talk about a few things. Some things you may not know. Some things, a lot of things you may know. But we're still going to discuss them anyway. And but before I begin, I want to start a tribute and give honors to one of the greatest warrior comrades that ever existed in our time, whose born day was 5 days ago, and that is the great warrior general, Dr. Khallid Abdul Muhammad. And I just want to pay maybe a minute or two and play an excerpt of just some of his building sessions and information that he shared with us when he was on this plane. So please bear with me and give me a second, and let's get down to listen to just a minute or two of Dr. Khallid Muhammad, pay our homage and honors and respect to the great general.
You can't say that. You say, well, we don't need guns, we need books. Shut up, fool. The white man make all the guns. How we gonna go up against the white man? We can't compete with the white man with all the guns. Well, fool, he make all the books. How you gonna compete with him if he makes all the books? You willing to go that route? I was talking to a young Sunni Muslim brother at Mark 125 yesterday. He said, well, do you really think we still oppressed? In America, I'm not lying, as God is my witness. Young brother, but he still has, he has a good chance, this young brother. He said, you think we still oppressed? And he went on to show me how things had changed and how we weren't oppressed anymore. He really believed that. And I told him, since I knew he was coming from Islam, I told him that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that Prophet Muhammad said, you must stop the oppressor. Stop the hand of the oppressor. Physically stop him. The Holy Quran says, and fight. Fight with those who fight against you. That persecution and bloodshed, that persecution and the murder of your people is worse than bloodshed. Quran says better to go on and fight and shed some blood, but persecution and the shedding of blood and the slaughter of your people, it's not worse than dealing with your enemy and shedding your enemy's blood. Fight with those who fight against you. It says, and drive them out from where they drove you out. It says, and fight with them until there is no more war. Fight with them until there is no more bloodshed. I told him that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, stop the hand of the oppressor. Physically, fight him. But Prophet Muhammad goes on to say, if you can't fight him physically and stop his hand physically, speak out against him. Strongly speak out against him. And if you can't stop him physically and stop the hand of the oppressor physically, if you can't speak out boldly and strongly against him, Prophet Muhammad says, then secretly protest in your heart. But secret protest in your heart is the poorest and the weakest form of protest, he said. He said, oh. See.
And first of all, I want to talk about this opioid and heroin epidemic, where you have 2.1 Europeans that are addicted to heroin, opioids, and painkillers in the United States. Now, the reason why they made it an epidemic because white America has become addicted to heroin. At first it wasn't no problem, and you didn't hear anything about it when the black communities were flooded with cheap dope, and all our brothers and sisters were strung out, committing crimes to get a fix, and going to jail, doing lengthy prison sentences. Now they want to rearrange the sentencing guidelines where if you commit a crime trying to get heroin and you end up committing a crime because of your heroin addiction, that your crime will be basically excused. But just think about all of the millions of our brothers and sisters who were locked up and still are locked up in a lot of cases for committing crimes either under the influence of heroin or trying to get a fix of heroin. That it was no excuse for them. But now they have these shows where it's all white show called Intervention, where these old decrepit motherfucking crackers knock on each other's doors doing interventions on these junky white motherfucking crackers. You know, they don't give a fuck. They cuss their parents out, steal and rob from their parents right on national TV. You know, and these crackers send these motherfucking dogs to treatment. You know, which the cracker don't stay clean long anyway. It's a proven fact that blacks stay clean longer because blacks have too much to lose if they relapse or continue to use drugs and alcohol, that, you know, they will end up homeless. And our people, unfortunately, we are so uncompassionate with our own family members that we'll let them sleep in the street in the cold and the snow based on the fact that they're sick and they are under the influence or have drug habits, because we want to look good. We don't want to bring certain family members to the family reunion because we want to make it appear like, you know, we're all together, you know, and at the same time we shit all over your own blood. I know this from experience. I've seen it happen. You know, but, you know, the Europeans, that will be a last resort of them putting their children and their loved ones out on the street to fight the elements in terms of the weather and take a chance on being robbed or being murdered, raped, where the black community doesn't give a fuck. And I hate to say it, but that our behavior speaks for itself. So, and that's why, you know, the gun violence, you know, Mayor Rahm Emanuel, you know, the reason why he allows the gang violence and the black on black violence to escalate without any type of control is because the more black men that are killed, the more black young men that are killed, those are more millions and hundreds of thousands of organs that they're taking out of our babies and selling and trafficking these organs. So Rahm Emanuel really doesn't give a fuck about the violence that takes place in Chicago. And as a matter of fact, when he became the mayor, the violence increased 70%. And there's been talk of UN troops. And the reason that they'll let UN troops in is because the UN troops will kill the young black men and women and make it more easier and more accessible to retrieve and contract these organs out of our babies. Think, brothers and sisters, stop trying to compromise with white supremacy, the system of racism, white supremacy, when it's smack dab in your face. Tomorrow will be the 57th anniversary of the assassination of Patrice Lumumba. Patrice Lumumba, who was the Congo president of the Congo, who was murdered by the Belgian government and the CIA here because he didn't allow the United States to do export trades and colonize the Congo. So he was murdered, shot numerous times, chopped up, body placed in a barrel of acid. They didn't want any parts of him left. I believe he was 35 years old. You know, and they can never do nothing without the help of us. So that Matubu, the same black devil who killed thousands of people the night of the Ali Foreman fight in Zaire. And what happened, everybody that had a criminal record that was on probation or parole, he had them rounded up and placed under the stadium where the fight was being held at, and had firing squad murder thousands of innocent brothers and sisters because he called himself, he didn't want crime to escalate the night of the Foreman Ali fight in Zaire. And also Patrice Lumumba was a strong revolutionary because, and I'll show you the connection. Dr. Yvonne Sion in 1960 assisted Patrice Lumumba and discussed revolutionary plans. Now, if you want to know who Dr. Yvonne Sion is, that's the mother of comedian Dave Chappelle. And that's why Dave Chappelle has the revolutionary spirit and energy running through him today, because of his mother. In case you didn't know, Dr. Yvonne Sion, who was with Patrice Lumumba, and she was only 22 at the time. This was in 1960, 1961. Now, this 2020 presidential run or whatever, where it's rumored that Aunt Jemima Winfrey, Oprah Winfrey, is possibly making a run for the White House in 2020, along with his other sister, Kamala Harris, who, Kamala Harris, for those who don't know, was a world famous black prosecutor who imprisoned thousands of black brothers and sisters, and rarely, if any, no whites at all. See, you can't get to the top unless you cut your own brothers and sisters' heads off and you are willing to throw them under the bus. Then you are given carte blanche from the system of racism, white supremacy. Same with Oprah. Oprah started out a fat cocaine snorting, chicken wing eating pig in Baltimore on a news channel, wearing a fucking crooked bush with no hairline. And she sucked her way at these after parties to create her own talk show, because we were looking for someone that looked like us who was going to hold a talk show to represent us. And that's the impression that she put on. And once she captured the black audience, she threw the black audience under the bus, and she got all these white soccer mom, value meeting motherfucking cave bitches. And that's how she rose to stardom and captured the minds and hearts of white America by simply destroying her own people. You know, now she wants to make a run for the White House. And brothers and sisters, don't be tricked by this bullshit, because we have a tendency to always put people on pedestals and look up to people that have money. You all have to stop buying into that shit. Because remember, wherever there's a lot of money, there's a lot of crime behind the money. Especially in this capitalist country that we live in. This fucking colony where the rich get richer from the poor. Where these motherfuckers have to make sure a certain amount of people are not eating, so the motherfuckers that are eating can eat even more. An example. They make sure that the person who lives next door to them doesn't have anything in their cabinets to ensure that the people live next door have 5 or 6 extra cabinets for the extra food. So they have to depend on the poor. Certain amount of people have to go to jail. Certain amount of people have to die. Certain amount of people have to be murdered. Certain amount of people have to be aborted in order for the few elite devils to continue to live like wealthy, greedy, fucking white devil sloth pigs. And a lot of you black people, you know, will do anything for a fucking dollar. You yell Jay-Z all day long and all these athletes and all these entertainers about how much money they got. So what the fuck? Count on one hand how many of them contribute major currency to the black community. And I'm not talking about a turkey giveaway or a t-shirt or basketball or football giveaway or signing some boxing gloves, which are all tax write-offs. I'm talking about building black communities in the stores. Now, this Astrazine, this is a chemical that's a detergent. It's also a rodent killer, and it's a powdery substance that are placed and mixed into a lot of the foods that we eat. And it also causes testosterone retraction. And it's also been used by this famous black doctor that he used on frogs, and it made the frogs, male frogs, act like female frogs and begin to have sex with one another. And this substance is used on a lot of the foods that we eat. Now we have to stop. Dunkin' Donuts, Post cereal, Oscar Mayer and General Mills have decided to take that substance out of their foods. But beware, brothers and sisters. This is a proven fact that this chemical has made male animals become female animals. I'm talking about sexual behavior and the whole like. And so, as a last warning to Jermaine Shoemake and Maurice Sanders, also known as Umar Johnson and Tariq Nasheed, I believe it's enough of the going back and forth. It's time to see who's going to move forward, whose agenda is going to be pushed in terms of helping the brothers and sisters in your race, that all of the things that you have discussed and talked about, your dreams, your goals, your visions, and your plans. Let's see who will be able to execute them, and let's see who will continue to still do the name calling in the feminine mindset, remain in the feminine mindset where they're just gossiping and seeing how bad they can make the other look. So that's enough of that, because it's time for us to move on. It's time for us to make some serious moves so the black community can go ahead and begin the process of liberation. Because liberation and salvation comes in different levels and forms. It has the economic, it has the spiritual, it has the physical, it has the mental, it has the intellectual. And also and a strong financial. Because without the finance, we won't be able to generate any type of power to carry out the agendas that are needed to rebuild the black communities once again. And like I always say, we need to run the Koreans out of the neighborhood with these carryouts. We need to run these pawn shop owners, which are retired police officers that own these pawn shops. Run them out of the community. That would eliminate our brothers and sisters who are struggling with drug problems, disencourage them from stealing out of their own homes, selling their own merchandise, or their parents or their families' sentimental valued merchandise. Get rid of the liquor stores, because the alcohol brings in mental and emotional triflingness, and also it's a major contributor to depression. And that will eliminate a whole bunch of tragedies that take place in the black communities. But we cannot do it without the financial resources to generate power and rebuild the black community with stores where we employ our own. The black dollar goes quick out the black man's hands than anybody. The Jew, his dollar stays in the community 18 times. The Koreans 15 times. The Arabs 12. And the black 1. That's exchanged from one hand to one of their hands. And we have to put an end to this, or else we are major contributors to our own demise and destruction. And each time that we ignore these pleas for salvation, we put another dagger in our babies. We have to give our babies a chance. It's just something to think about, brothers and sisters. I'm going to be coming back with some more information. But in the meantime, brothers and sisters, stay up, stay strong. Hotep, Black Power.